Well, the story of that game clearly was Brandon Jordan and the start he gave us, and then the game being closed out by Brett Carey and the 3-run home run swing of Wes Clark. That was pretty much most of what happened in that game today. So another really good ball game for us. Happy to get that win, and now focus on tomorrow.
Let's go to Dick Cox with the first question.
Coach, can you talk about what this means? I think they were saying on the TV broadcast, first time you've won a series against Florida since 2011 today. So what does it mean to go ahead and win the series?
Well, I mean, I'm thinking about it all in terms of 2021. It's a big series win in the SEC. We all know that the entire league is going to be scrapping to get to 500 or try to be a little bit better than that because we're all going to beat up on each other. So it's a great series win for 2021. But these are all still individual games. You get 30 of them. So, after a little bit here, we'll focus on tomorrow.
Let's go to Colin Taylor with the next one.
Hey, Mark, what did you see out of Brandon today, and how big was it after having to extend a few guys last night for him to go 7 innings on 94 pitches?
Tremendous. That was tremendously important. 1 walk today, by far his best outing of the year. 9 strikeouts, 1 walk, 5 hits. Him getting the 7th inning was everything we could have hoped for today. But the big deal for him was his command was as good as it's been all year. I thought he had great mound presence. He threw everything he wanted when he wanted and was just really tough to hit today. So you combine his stuff with the ability to throw strikes at that level, it makes for a really good outing.
Michael Onana.
Hey, Mark. Wes Clark obviously got off to that, really, really hot start. And then, these last couple series seemed like he, slowed down a little bit, obviously facing some really good pitching too. Just how do you think, I guess, he handled that stretch? And obviously this is a huge moment for him today, picking up that home run. Just what does that say about him, the way he kind of, I guess, bounced back from, a rough few games?
Yeah, I mean, that's baseball, and baseball is a game of adjustments. Baseball is a game of streaks. He was on a tremendous streak early on. Then pitchers, started attacking him a little bit differently. And so he had to deal with that. We went to Texas, and he actually swung the bat really well at Texas with not a whole lot to show for it. And then he had to deal with, okay, are they going to pitch around me? And he's had to deal with a lot this year. And I think he's handled it very well. He's a mature kid. He doesn't take himself too serious. He loves the aspects of the game that are, not just hitting. He loves being a teammate. He loves goofing around with the guys, and he just loves studying the game. So he's handled it very well for a guy that wants to hit a home run every bat. I mean, he's handled it very well. And again, he'll continue to learn what he has to do to be successful and how teams will continue to adjust to him. And, that's what makes baseball so fun.
Cam Adams.
Hey, Coach, you used 4 relievers last night and only 1 today. Just can you kind of describe how crucial being able to do that was to save arms for Sunday?
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly what we needed out of Brandon. We used a bunch of guys, and when you play a 14-inning game, you have to expend a lot of your resources to try to win that game last night. So what you hope happens today is your starter gives you length. And when he does, then you don't have to ask your closer to give you too much. And so that was a big win for today. But how we won the game will give us a chance tomorrow as well.
John Whittle.
I imagine it was an easy decision for you to go with Brett there. What went into that? How does it affect him for tomorrow? And what does that do to your plans for tomorrow?
Yeah, it was a very easy decision. One of the easier. You don't get many easy decisions in big games, but with Jordan getting set through 7 full at 94 pitches and a fresh Brett Carey out there, I'll put that on the list of some of the easier decisions we'll get to make. It was just, that one was a no-brainer. With the way Brett Carey can give you more than 1 inning, and Brandon Jordan being at basically his pitch count and the lineup turning over, it was just boom, boom, boom. Everything makes this a very easy decision. And how it affects tomorrow, got to get back in the locker room with the staff and just figure out how we want to attack tomorrow. But he'll definitely be available.
Let's go back to Dick Cox.
Of course, nobody likes to lose, Coach, but with the pitching you've gone up against these first 2 weeks in conference play, are you pleased with where you stand right now?
Well, I mean, again, at the end of the season, when they're trying to figure out who's hosting, who's getting in the NCAA tournament, all those things, RPI still is king. And, yeah, we went to Texas and we took some lumps, but I think we'll get a lot of dividends out of it, both in the RPI, but also I think it toughened us. I don't think there's any question. Does it make hitting any easier when you're facing a guy like Leftwich? I mean, it prepares you, but it doesn't make it any easier. 95 with sliders and secondary pitch. It's still hard to hit, but I just think the schedule we've had up to this point has hardened us, has toughened us, and given us, some really good resilience.
Colin Taylor.
It's not 20 hits today, but it seemed like the at-bats were pretty good. The offensive approach was good. What did you see from your offense specifically today, and specifically in that fifth inning where you guys were able to get to Leftwich a little bit better than you had?
I mean, we just had to scrap today. It didn't feel like a game where we'd get 20 hits again, but, both teams had 5 hits. So hits were hard to come by. And so you've got to try to create offense other ways. That last play offensively for us was set up to be a safety squeeze. They charged their first baseman, and George did what you're supposed to do. He pulled the bat back and hit a sac fly. So I think it was good that we were prepared for that situation. And again, you're going to get 20 hits some days, and some days you're going to get 5, and you've got to figure out other ways to score runs, whether it's through walks, whether it's through the hit and run. We did a hit and run today, and we just had to get a little bit more creative today. Couldn't just sit back and do nothing. But hopefully we're a team that can figure out different ways to win and score just enough, to outscore the opponent.
John Whittle.
Yeah, George had a tough night last night, had a nice RBI for you today. How do you balance what he's doing both offensively and defensively with perhaps other options on the bench? Is George certainly your guy, and how do you kind of weigh that and balance that?
Well, we're 21 games in, and I believe he has 21 starts. So that's probably, the best indication of how we feel about George's importance. He's our shortstop, and we feel really good with him out there, and any offense he gives us is a bonus. And I mean, we're winning with that. And he's swung much better of late. If you look at his last 5 games, his last 10 game stats, they're actually pretty representative. He got off to a slow start, but he's our guy. And he really anchors the middle of that defense. When Burgess is catching and he's at short and Wimmer's at second base, and Brady Allen obviously has been very good out in center field. That's the makings of a good defensive team.
One last thing for you with Burgess. He looked like he was a little ginger going around second base in that last inning today. With what he did last night and having the series won today, do you think about giving him a day off with the quick turnaround tomorrow at noon?
I mean, you think about everything. We'll see. He's a tough kid. He's a real tough kid. So we'll just have to see how he feels and see what we think makes the most sense tomorrow.